Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. I'm Dr. Cochav Elkayam-Levy, and I'm an international law and human rights expert here on behalf of Bונות Alternativa, Israel's leading women's rights movement with hundreds of thousands of Israeli women behind us. Our immediate attention since October 7th has shifted to war relief, primarily to women and children. Never in my life would I imagine that I would be standing in front of this distinguished committee to talk about gender-based war crimes and crimes against humanity committed against women and children in Israel. And yet, here I am. I've had little time to prepare, and although I've been dealing with this topic every minute of every day for the past 3 weeks, I wasn't sure how to summarize the magnitude and severity of the crimes into this 3-minute speech. Where to start? But my starting point revealed itself this morning with the horrific news of a beautiful, lively young woman, Shani Luke. Shani Luke was pronounced dead, and this experience exemplifies the atrocities we're facing. Shani Luke, a vibrant 22-year-old, was celebrating at a peace festival, when she was violently assaulted during the Hamas attack. Images circulating social media of her naked, unconscious, injured body on the back of a pickup truck in Gaza were proudly released by Hamas, including images of the crowd cheering as a desecrated body paraded as trophy by her captors. And Shani's story is not unique. Unfortunately, hundreds, from infants to elderly, have faced unimaginable horrors. Medical and forensic reports confirm brutalities, including widespread rape evidence, some with their pelvic bones broken, evidence of multiple semen specimens collected from bodies, teenage girls found in their beds, pants pulled down with vaginal bleeding and shot to their heads. Even pregnant women were not spared, rather the opposite, tortured in unimaginable ways. The count stands at over 1,400 innocent civilians murdered, among them women, children, babies, elderly persons, and children with disabilities. Israelis and non-Israelis, Jewish, Christians, and Muslims were brutally murdered. 40 babies were tortured and slaughtered in their homes. In Hamas videos, we witnessed injured women with obvious vaginal bleeding, smeared on their clothes, kidnapped, hand tied behind their back while paraded into Gaza. Other women, their faces shocked with fear, were dragged away from their homes, carrying their babies and young children, in several cases abducted without their children, and even worse, babies and toddlers kidnapped without their parents. To this day, Hamas has not released a list of names and has not allowed access to the ICRC. We have no idea about their fate. We pray they are still alive. We pray for the children abducted without any parent, confused and alone. We pray for the chronically ill elderly women abducted and humiliated. We pray that unimaginable sexual violence that we saw is not continuing while they're held hostage in Gaza. We hope they are still alive, but the truth is, we have no idea. The footage I have seen in the past 3 weeks is something I can never unsee. Any human who has seen these images will wake up with them, for sure, in the morning and go to sleep with them at night. I pray that none of you, the committee's distinguished members, will ever have to see the images that we've seen. Hamas might be now denying these war crimes, but during the attack and immediately after Hamas and its terrorists released horrific visuals of its brutal crimes, including hideous acts of torture, rape, abuse, and murder of innocent women and girls as trophies of war and killing in the most inhumane ways possible. But it is not only Hamas that is denying this heinous crime. We, as Israeli women, feel we are all subject of a collective international denial. The evidence is undeniable, yet we find ourselves fighting a dual battle, one against these atrocities that we now need to respond to, and another against global silence. The very committee dedicated to eliminating discrimination against women has yet to acknowledge the gender-based crimes against humanity, the atrocities and war crimes committed during these attacks. There is no way to justify them, and there is no privilege to ignore them or be selective in view of the identity of the victims. It seems yet again easier to ignore sexually inflicted war crime as if the same denial mechanism inflicted on individual rape victims are now inflicted against us all. Women, girls, mothers, sisters, daughters in Israel, we all feel the same. In your statement from yesterday, you speak about international standards and norms. And I can stand here and read all the relevant articles, resolutions, commitments by the international community. But you and I, we already know them very well. And I must point out, in light of what we've seen here in Israel, international law loses its meaning. The failure to condemn these heinous crimes acts weakens the legitimacy of global institutions and allows for further violations, not just in Israel, but globally. The weak, if any response at all by international community provides fertile ground for weaponizing of women's and girls' bodies in warfare, as we've witnessed in an unimaginable scale on October 7th. This is the mandate given to this committee, and we urge you not to fall into the double standard hypocrisy of those who profess equality, yet turn a blind eye when it is politically charged. International standards and norms have no meaning if they don't apply to all victims and all perpetrators. As McKinnon eloquently said, what most often happens to women escapes the human rights net. So I call upon you today, do not let these victims fall through the human rights net. Such silence is not just deafening, it's damning. It raises the haunting question, are Israeli women and girls protected under international law? Is there international law for them? I urge you not to look away. As a head of a collective of experts in gender and human rights, I feel deep responsibility not just to the victims, but to future generations. We've established a non-governmental commission to document these heinous crimes. Our mission is clear. Bring justice to the victims and bring the remaining hostages home. I implore this committee to act. Believe all women, wherever they are and regardless of context. Recognize the gender-based war crimes committed against us. Stand with women, not just as an official representative of CEDAW, but as advocates of human rights. Silence is not an option. Thank you.